Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another Central Virginia fishing report with Ethan Martin of TaleTellers Fly Shop. How's it going, Ethan?
Oh, I'm doing good today. It's been a good day so far.
Well, there you go. I assume your weather's not that dissimilar from what we're having down here in North Carolina. It's probably cooled off to an appropriate temperature for what we call fall, and you've probably been getting some rain.
Oh yeah, you're spot on. Yeah, it's been nice, and there's more rain in the forecast too. So it's most of the rivers are slowly picking up, and the fishing's been doing pretty well too. Like you said, it's cooling down a little bit. Like the James this past weekend was, then the upper James was like in the 60s, that range. So good for muskies, that sort of stuff. And then the trout stuff is more water flowing through that, so the little brook trout can spawn and be happy, and so I'm happy too.
Well, there you go. And I assume too that with the temperatures kind of cooling off, the topwater bite for smallies is probably gone too.
Yeah, I mean, I know a couple guys that they'll still try, but all that means is for the guys that like streamers, which I fit into that category, the bite is usually a little better this time of year for that, just because those smallmouth put the feed bag on. So that can be a lot of fun. And then the muskies, that sort of stuff too. So if that's the thing you want to try for, this is a good time of the year to do it. And even with, the little brook trout, that sort of stuff, I mean, they just started stocking too. So if you really want to get some dry fly eats or some topwater eats, you can always go out there and throw some flies to the little trout too. But main thing I tell people like this time of year is just stay off the reds. And we got a couple of rivers in this neck of the woods that are fine. They don't have trout in them that are spawning, but so in those rivers, you're fine to fish through the fall. But in all the little tiny creeks that are just brook trout, I usually tell people just lay off them. And if you want to get to the top water or just the brook trout fishing, just wait just a little bit,
Yeah, got it. And just to help people understand what they're looking for to avoid the reds, I mean, you want to tell folks what reds look like when you see them in the river?
Yeah, I mean, well, pretty much the name describes it in a lot of ways. It just looks like this pod of sort of a reddish hue to it. It depends on whatever the rocks are, really. But it's basically like at the back end of pools. A lot of times you'll see the actual trout on them. But as the season progresses, because those eggs, that's what the trout are doing. They're laying their eggs into this gravel bed that they have formed with their fins. And then the eggs will stay there until they hatch. And even after they hatch a little bit, some of those little dudes will kind of hang out in the back. So even if it's like December, I tell people just be wary. If you see a big pool and at the back end of it, you see sort of this discolored, huge, or maybe not huge, but like 1 foot by 2 foot circles or ovals in the gravel. Typically that's a spawning bed of some type of fish. And most times, it's going to be trout, but on some rivers you'll see it and it's, some other species of fish. So if you go there and you're stomping on that, or you're not thinking and you're standing there casting upstream, then you're basically standing on fish for next year or 3 years or 4 years. And, I hear a lot of guys that are like, I don't think I'll affect it that much. But, if you get 8 guys that think that way and they all go to the same little small stream, then it's not just one guy that's stepping on it. It's 8 guys, or it's 8 guys doing it 4 times a month. So it can really add up. So, I mean, really it's just keep exploring new rivers. That's what I thought. I mean, you don't have to fish the one same river every single day out of the year. There's a whole lot of water in Virginia that you can get around to and enjoy and explore.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also, most anglers don't consider it ethical to fish that are on the reds either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just to give some folks some ideas of places they can fish where they won't run into the red problem, what are some of your favorites?
I mean, I grew up in Waynesboro. I like the South River. That's a good one. Then you got the Buffalo River. That's over towards Lexington. And so both of those places, or even the Roanoke River in Roanoke, all those places, you're going to be fine fishing there. If you want a couple more streams that they're stocking right now as well, Closer to Lynchburg, you've got the Peddler River and the Ty River. So both of those ones are a little bigger, and they don't typically hold like the wild trout that are going to be spawning. So those places you're fine to have at it. I mean, you don't have to think about it. I would still be conscious because I know there are still some brook trout that survive in there, that sort of thing. But just have at it on those streams, and there's some bigger fish in there too. So that makes it fun. But there's something for everybody.
Got it. Any patterns that you suggest to folks on those waters this time of year?
Yeah, I mean, if you're fishing any sort of stocked river, general attractor patterns are going to be fine. So, like with all the rain that we've been getting, throw a squirmy worm or throw an egg. Or, one of my favorite patterns is just the Frenchie. It works all the time. So that would be this time of year, or if you're talking spring, whenever. So on those places, it's mainly going to be, if you want to catch the most, it's going to be nymphing, that sort of stuff, or just woolly buggers, with a little bit of flash. That stuff, you're going to catch fish year round, but specifically right now, especially if you're a newer angler, that sort of thing, you can strap on a woolly bugger and have at it for a day. And on those stocked fish, woolly buggers are like crack. I mean, they eat them pretty good. So that's what I'd recommend.
Well, there you go. And if you have a question for Ethan, if you'll send it to us on the Articulate Fly Facebook page, and if we read it on a report, I'll send you some Articulate Fly swag, and you will get entered into a drawing at the end of the season for a TaleTellers Fly Shop gift certificate. Before I let you go, Ethan, why don't you let folks know how to keep track of you and find out more about what's going on at the shop?
Yeah, I mean, they can come to the shop here. We're in downtown Lynchburg, 920 Commerce Street, or you can catch us on Instagram or Facebook, or I send out a weekly email, and you sign up for that on my website. So a lot of different ways. We're on all those fancy online things, but just TaleTellers VA, like TaleTellers Virginia. That's where you can find us.
Well, that's great. Well, folks, and also, check out our new mobile apps. We have Android and iPhone apps. Just search the Articulate Fly in the app store of your choice. And folks, you really should get out. Fall's my favorite time to fish, and the weather's great. If you can sneak out on a weekday, you may even have the water all to yourself. Tight lines, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Tight lines, Ethan.
See ya.